Hi, I'm Rajiv Satyal. I'm a comedian and a host. I am Indian.
And I'm American. So this show will tell the story of Indians in America.
I live right here in Los Angeles, the home of Warner Brothers, Disney, and now Funny Indian Productions. My guest picks a game, and we play it. So enjoy. What do you bring to the table?
Welcome everybody to this episode of What Do You Bring to the Table? My name is Rajiv Satyal, I'm your host, and I'm sitting here with songwriter and record producer Savan Kotecha. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Is that what you like to go by as a songwriter and record producer?
Yeah, songwriter's fine.
Okay. Well, what do you think about producer? I mean, that's got a nice ring to it as well.
It does. People seem to like that word more.
Yeah, I don't know why. Because you're producing something. I mean, writing you're writing something as well, which is great. But you have what is it? Give me the numbers. Give me the numbers of Billboard Awards. Because we're sitting here. No, I want to embarrass you out the gate. This is good because we're gonna play Jenga. I'm probably gonna get embarrassed doing that because I'm not good at any of the games that I choose to do. But we're sitting here in your studio, and you've got just award after award after award. Whether they are Billboard Awards, whether they're just so many.
I've been lucky. I've had a lot of success in what my passion is. So. I don't know numbers. I've sold like 300 million records in total.
I have to get you to say it. I didn't know it was 300. I knew it was north of 200, but 300 million records.
That's what I've been told now.
Okay. Who tells you that? Is that your agent? Is that
no, you just get data from publishers, and then you know the last number, and then you find out, or you get like plaques, and you're like, oh, if you had, okay, yeah, that's around 300 now.
What makes you happier? Is it the number of albums sold, records sold, or is it the awards?
No, neither actually. I think
we got to play as we're doing it, by the way.
I think it's always fun just to have a hit, you know.
Okay. Do you measure that by like the Billboard chart, or do you?
Actually, for songwriters, really radio, because that's how you're gonna get paid. Streaming doesn't pay songwriters anything. So
even still.
Even still.
So even like the Spotify's, the Pandoras.
And when I mean anything, I actually mean like very little.
So it's not even that it's like.
It'll be like, you know, you can have one of the biggest songs. Like I've had two, I guess, of the biggest songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
Ever, unless
Can't Feel My Face
and Love Me
Problem?
Like You Do.
Oh, Love Me Like You Do by Ellie Goulding.
Yeah, and it just it's not living wage.
They love you like they do, but not how you would like them to love you.
It's actually, it's not living wage. It's a big problem, especially for young songwriters. I mean, I can't complain because I've had a long career and I've done well, but like, for young songwriters, that's the scary world, is that none of them will be able to earn a living at this point.
When did that change? Because of streaming?
Yeah, I mean, what happened was Spotify,
2011.
The labels take all the money, but Spotify kind of paid the guard at the store to steal the televisions, in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still going to be legislation that changes it, and just fighting. You know, that's what's happening now. So we'll see.
Like international, or does the U.S. have to lead that fight, or is it copyright?
U.S. will have to lead the fight, and Congress will have to get involved at some point. But
they do a great job at solving our other problems.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. I know the answer to this. Well, you were born in Austin, Texas, right?
Well, I was born in Vermont. I went to high school in Austin, Texas. So that was the last, before I went to Sweden, that was the last place I lived.
And how long were you in Austin? That's where my wife is from, is Austin.
Yeah, so it was 14, I think. We lived in Northern Virginia before that, in Manassas, which is like a suburb of DC.
Okay.
And my parents were IBMers. IBM closed the Manassas plant, and all the Indians that worked at IBM there kind of decided where they wanted to go, and everyone said Austin. So my parents went along with that and moved to Austin.
And you, just like my wife, you're Gujarati.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm Gujarati.
I don't know.
I lost all my ability to speak Gujarati when I went to Sweden. It replaced Gujarati in my brain. I can understand everything in Gujarati, but every time I try and speak it now, it comes out in Swedish. I feel like I wasted high school because I just learned Latin. I got out of high school and I was like, what, nobody speaks Latin?
Yeah, not anymore.
I got my passport. Where do I go? No.
You may as well have learned Sanskrit at that point. Just gone really old school at that point. Let me get to know you. I know we're going to talk a lot about music, but let me know about your other interests. Are you a movie guy at all?
Yes, but I like going to see movies by myself.
I've only done that once in my life, and I want to do it more often.
Really?
We should go sometimes by ourselves. Yeah.
I'm like sappy movie person.
Really?
Yeah. Because I've always been like even when I was a teenager, I would like watch Dawson's Creek and then go in my room and write a song about Joey and Dawson, and like I'm so like my wife has a completely different taste, and she doesn't like movies, she likes documentaries, but I'm all about like chick flicks and even like chick lit. Is that even the right thing to say?
Chick lit, yeah, I think that is it's something
Keys
you eat,
books.
I think, chick lits. But
like Marion Keyes books and like Bridget Jones and all that. That's all my.
That's
like
jam.
my first. I collect first editions, and the first thing I bought when I had money was the first edition of Little Women, signed by Louisa May Alcott.
Wow.
That's like my prized possession in life. Like if there was a fire in my house,
you wouldn't grab your awards.
I would save that, and then I would go in for my kids.
Okay, forget the awards. Talking about you can make more kids, but they're not going to make another, first edition. Think about that. You have your first and second edition kids, but you go in, and they're little boys, not little women.
Yeah,
so we could just do the pun game all day long. We can just keep going with that.
I mean, my favorite TV shows, like I'm Grey's Anatomy all day. This Is Us, like I literally have to I come in here and Tuesday nights and like I'll turn on the DVR and I'm just like I watch This Is Us and I'm sitting there like bawling, and then I go upstairs, my wife's asleep and I'm like cuddling with her and she's like, stop watching that show.
So it's not it's just This Is Me in this case. Yeah, it's just you.
Yeah, I'm all about like Gossip Girl when that was on, and like all those things.
Man. So when people say, man, that's Savan, he's ballin', it's this ballin'. It's not that ballin'. I mean, we see the house, but really, you're crying and you're just, you're reducing yourself to tears.
I don't like popcorn flicks, I don't like action movies and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, when I'm with other people, they want to talk after, and I want to stay in like the mood. I want to stay in the atmosphere, and I want to I write down ideas and I get like song ideas and I kind of get into like a character's state of mind, and I write all these things on my phone, and if I'm with somebody, they just want to talk, and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you, and then I feel like I'm rude, so I like going by myself.
So it's like you write the soundtrack after the movie.
Kind of, or at least I just get like ideas. I'll get like, because it's all emotions. I have a very boring life in a sense of like I'm very, very.
Oh, it got really exciting right there for a minute. I know. That's the fastest it's fallen, and I thought I was going to do it. And so I don't know what we do now. Maybe we just build or something.
Yeah. I'm not, like, I have a wife and 2 kids. My wife was my first girlfriend ever.
Oh, wow. When did you guys meet?
I think we met in Stockholm when I was like 20.
Okay.
And I've never been like a going out person. I don't like it when I have to go out to to parties or events and stuff. It's like I have to go because of work, and then I'm the first one to leave.
Okay.
Like I'll wait till people get drunk and then I go.
Man.
Because then they'll forget that I left, and I'll be like,
how was it?
Yeah, it was exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. I was hanging out, yeah, for sure. So this is a party. Like we got the whole crew here.
Yeah.
This is making you a little like, wow, we're in your space.
No, it's not even like a space. I like being around people.
Yeah.
But
He's
I'd rather
a great host,
be.
by the way. Honestly, like you've been the best. Like
I
coffee,
love
water, food. It's great.
I like being around people, but I like conversations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like going to dinner with people is fine.
Right.
As long as it's like 7 o'clock, not like 9 o'clock. But like And that's now because of kids, because they wake us up. I mean, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning. I got back from the studio at 11. And so by the time I get to sleep, it's like 12:31, and then it's like 5 o'clock wake up.
That's kind of what I did last night into today, but that's rare. So good. But you are a morning person though, right? You do
but I used to be a night person. I'm not a good sleeper, so I've always been that way. Like so I can sleep 4, 5, 6 hours, and I'm fine. Like,
and no naps.
No naps. Yeah, I'm not a napper.
And you can just keep going.
Yeah.
Is that coffee or is that just your natural
thing?
Tea? You don't like you're a tea person anyway, not coffee.
But I think I never really go out. I don't go out and like network and stuff anymore. You know what I mean? I avoid lots of stuff. I could probably have more adventures in my life if I took advantage of the access, I guess, that I've been lucky enough to have. And maybe later on in life, I'm gonna be like, oh man, I should have done that, and I should have met that person, or said yes to that person's like house party, and I would have met that person. But with kids, their priorities change, and even before kids, it was like, just like coming home and spending time with my wife, and then going to sleep and waking up and going and working. So for songs, I either live vicariously through the artists, or I have to come up with ideas through watching films, reading books, and imagining I'm those characters.
That's the pain in your life, is other people's art that then inspires you.
Yeah, that's exactly what
But do you feel like you have to get to that place? You feel like you have to access pain to create pleasure? Is that, that's a trope, and people talk about that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends what you're working on. If you're writing like pop songs about different ways to have sex, then it's a different thing.
Right.
But then, it's the same thing. I'd watch various like films or read like Cosmo and stuff like that, and just get lines from advertisements and stuff like that.
What's an example of that? Could you give us a specific example? Because you've written so many songs that I know. Problem, What Makes You Beautiful, Can't Feel My Face. And there's so many that I can't even.
This one which is the one that pops in my head, wasn't like the biggest hit. It was a decent hit. It was years ago. It was a song called T-Shirt, which was like a decent hit. This artist Chantel, and I got the whole idea from that song on like one of those Cosmo confessional things.
Oh wow.
So I always get like bits or lines here and there from things like that.
Okay.
Like it was a point I was like the weirdo that would buy all these like Teen Vogue and 17 magazines, and I'd be like trying to explain why I'm buying these magazines to the person, and when I was a teenager, I would get friends, like female friends, to just buy them for me.
Yeah.
And now sometimes my wife will be like, I'm going to buy magazines, you want, get me Cosmo.
Yeah.
And,
now you have a wife you can hide behind.
Yeah.
She can buy it for you.
I haven't done that as much lately, because I'm also like more, early in my career when I was just writing songs, hoping someone would take them.
Yeah.
You would do those things. Now I'm working with the artists. The past 10 years, I guess I've been working directly with artists more.
Right.
So you kind of just feed off of their lives a little bit.
Yeah. And because obviously they have a lot of drama, without going specifically.
Yeah, drama, or just they live a certain lifestyle,
Sure.
So I can trust that, whether it's Ariana or whoever, you can just kind of talk, and through conversations, ideas spark.
So Ariana Grande. For anyone who doesn't know who Ariana is, yeah.
I lived in Sweden for like 15 years, and living there, you really obviously see, it's not, English isn't people's first language.
Right.
Melody is the universal language, right? You got to write songs. If you want to write global pop songs, they can't be like complicated English words, because it's just never gonna. Very lyrical songs don't go past America for the most part. Because they need to. Someone in Japan who doesn't know any English needs to be able to sing along to it. Like my son, he doesn't ever listen to the words of a song. When he sings a song to tell me like what he wants to listen to, he's got the words wrong, but he remembers the melody, and that's how it is. So try and improve those skills. And lyrics are trends, You have to try and keep up, and I do that as well. But I know that I'll be okay as long as I can, write melodies. I always saw those guys that were like writers and producers and were partying a lot. They never quite made it all the way.
Is that true then? So you think there's a direct correlation between
because it's
how much
that much
work?
work. Yeah, absolutely.
And is it? How much of it is inspiration versus perspiration? Are you Well, let me start with that open-ended question. I mean, do you feel like it's the number of hours you're putting in, or is it
definitely
you just get inspired?
Well, I'd say like this because we're talking about I'm a pop songwriter for the most part, so
Sure.
it's still emotions, but it's also there's a structure to like hit songs. If you're just writing a song to get your emotions out there, that's a different thing than
like the singer-songwriter acoustic thing.
Than trying to write a hit song, right? Or to write a hit song, I guess I like to call it on purpose. I guess that's a craft that you work on, and you know that's a lot of. You always need the inspiration because that's the seed of everything.
Sure.
But then it's crafting it. How do you make that into something better than just good?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's has more mass appeal. So it's a little bit of both, but you need to work hard, absolutely.
I mean, I
work smart as well, because some people think working hard is writing as many songs as you possibly can, but then it's like, well, if none of those songs are good,
right?
You know,
then you're just reinforcing a habit.
Yeah,
that may not be.
just try and get better and work with people that are better than you, and that's what I always focused on. I always focused on sort of having mentors that were better than me, and getting in those rooms and learning everything I could. You know, because I think as soon as you think you've figured it out, that's when you lose it.
Right. The game changes.
Especially with music, because it's so youth-driven. You know?
Yeah, it's so fickle. I mean, I discovered you because I read The Song Machine by John Seabrook, and he talked about, you know, different song machines over time, whether it was the Beatles or it was Motown, Tin Pan Alley before that. And then he talked about Dennis Pops and Max Martin, and it's insane. I mean, what is it, like Paul McCartney has 32 number ones and John Lennon has 26, and then Max Martin has like 23.
Yeah.
It's an insane number, and you've worked directly with him. And would you say you were one of his kind of proteges or mentees, or do you feel like
I think so.
parallel,
mentor. I mean, he's still. I mean, especially over the last few years, been one of my closer collaborators and mentors. So I learned a lot from him. You know, he's someone that sort of mastered the craft of hit songwriting.
And for so long, like it's been,
long,
you know, many years.
But he's also been really smart how he does it, because he focuses on melody, and melody never changes.
Is that what makes a song live on forever?
I think
it's not the
songs for sure. Yeah.
Beat lyrics are important, but it's still
lyrics
melody.
and beats are trends, right? So as long as he, you know, in his world, he's able to focus on melody. And then you can always get the new kid to write the lyrics and the new kid to do the beats. But melody's gonna last forever, and I think that's whether he's done it on purpose or not. I think it's a strategy that he instinctively has adapted. That's been amazing, you know, and something to learn from. That's something I've definitely learned from.
I guess that makes sense. It's like when you ask somebody with that one song, how does it go? And it's always hard to recreate a song while you're listening to another song. You got to stop whatever is going on, and then you go and you'll hum it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the melody. That's the whole point. Is that's what's truly timeless.
Yeah, and
you
I think that
these words.
There's always those songs with the lyrics like "You're so vain" and "Imagine," you know, that you know.
In comedy, they say drama is global, comedy is local, right? So a lot of that is your references. If you're referencing something specific to this, you know, especially to that city, that'll get the biggest laugh from that city. Oh, I just drove in from, you know, the West Side, and man, they don't have any teeth over there, or whatever it is. You know, it's kind of like, oh, and then that'll kill in that and Go Bananas Comedy Club in Cincinnati. But how many people will laugh at it, even at the Improv? It's like, what do you mean the West Side, Cincinnati? They don't get it, right? So it's the references change and all that. But I was thinking about it the other day. I was somewhere overseas, and I heard, you know, just this usual, you know, like a text ding in Apple, and I was like, gosh, more of the world speaks Apple than anything else. Like, we all know the ringtones, we all know what a text is, we all know what this is, and you're like, more people will know that than probably English.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, same thing with melody.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We heard rumors that, I don't know if they were true, that Roxette back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s didn't even speak English. And it's not, I don't know that was true.
Well, they may not have. I mean, if you listen to all those Backstreet Britney songs, I mean, the guys that wrote them would tell you they didn't even focus, that most of them, they do not make sense. I think American journalists would get, I remember reading some article about I Want It That Way, and they were talking about the edgy lyrics in I Want It That Way. Literally, that was the nonsense lyrics they wrote when they came up with the melody.
Oh, I wanted that way being something that was more innuendo.
Yeah.
Like, but it's, no,
like, you are my
you
fire,
don't have to
I want
explain
desire.
that. Yeah, I know that song.
It's all like, and hit me baby one more time. It doesn't mean anything.
Right. Is it violent? It's like, no, it doesn't really mean anything.
It's just words that sounded good that they put together because English wasn't their first language.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and the melodies were so good, you didn't really pay attention to that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Even though we sing them, but we don't think about it. It's like, as you know, think, oh, kids these days are listening. Like, you have young kids, and what are they singing? It's like, I remember being 7, 8, 9 years old and singing songs that I didn't even think about what they meant. You know, it was just like.
Yeah, like "Can't Feel My Face" is one. I mean, that line, that lyric is obviously credit to Abel, to the Weeknd. And you know, my kids' preschool class was always listening to "Can't Feel My Face," and I found out, and I went to the teacher. I was like, "You know, that's about drugs."
Yeah.
I was like, she was like, "No, really?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I wrote the song."
Yeah. Are you able to write a hit at will? I mean, like, can you just go, okay, the next. And how long does it take to write one of these songs, by the way? Is it, and does
It's
that
different
vary?
every time. I always get annoyed when I hear writers go, "Yeah, I wrote that in like 5 minutes." It's like, well, you also probably wrote 400 songs that didn't work in 5 minutes. But everyone has a different process. For me, especially the last few years, I don't think anyone can really write a hit on a will. I can say write a hit on purpose in the sense of giving a song the best shot, you know, making sure every part is as good as you can possibly make it.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's going to be a hit, because that's up to the audience and that's up to like a connection and a lot of stars aligning. But I feel confident I can write something that has a good shot at least. But with my great collaborators obviously, and who, you know, I don't do everything myself at all. I have a lot of great people that I work with that contribute equally. You know, sometimes I feel I've got my finger on it. Sometimes I feel I don't.
Who are some of the artists with whom you're most proud to have worked? I mean, Ariana, I'm sure, The Weeknd, you know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
Ellie Goulding.
all of them I've been lucky enough to work with. I'm really proud of. Like, I mean, years ago when I got a big hit with Usher, I mean, that was a highlight of my life.
Yeah, you grew up listening to him, I'm sure, too.
There's been people, you know, like I got to work with Madonna on her last record a little bit. And that was incredible. It was an incredible experience.
What was that even like, man? I mean, just.
She's cool. I thought it was weird, kind of. It was weird because it was Madonna, and it was like, you know, it was either Prince. I grew up where it was Prince, Michael Jackson, and Madonna. You know.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I didn't get to the point in my career I am now when Michael Jackson was alive. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have maybe had an opportunity. And Prince, obviously, no one really works with Prince except Prince. But like,
is that true? I mean,
he
was
did.
such a rest in peace. He was such a one-man show.
But I did it. I knew that it wasn't gonna maybe say generate like a hit, because I don't think she's at a point in her career where she cares about that. But I did it for an experience for like 1 week, and you know, I was with Avicii and a couple other friends, Madonna, and she was cool. I mean, it was like, I learned a lot about her. Like, she was first a little bit guarded, but then when we got to know each other, she was pretty open, and I got to ask her questions about her life, and I was just curious about the life of one of those three. You know, what is it like? You know, and you realize, you know, what was really cool to see was that she's clearly a very active and awesome mom. Like, her kids would come to the studio and they sit on her lap, and she would show them lyrics, and it was just like, that was really like heartwarming to be like, oh wow, it's not like, you know, tons of nannies. It's like,
just
I mean, obviously she has help and nannies and stuff, but like, but the kids were there, and they were just, you know, really sweet kids, and you could just tell she loved them like crazy.
Yeah.
And she'd take phone calls from her daughter. You know, it was like, you just saw it, you just go like, oh, it's like, it's a mom. She's a mom, you know, and you forget that those people are human because you grew up.
Of course.
And you realize she's human, but her work ethic is crazy. I think she was saying something like 7 days a week she does an hour of dance, an hour of yoga and exercise. It was some like, everywhere she goes, you know.
My brother in New York, Rajiv, is an author, and he worked with a woman in his office who was roommates with Madonna, like in the early 80s.
Wow.
And so everybody wants to know, like, what was she like? Was she this, you know, crazy partier? And no, she had just unbelievable work ethic. She was like, I'm gonna be the most famous person in the world. She was just super driven.
Yeah.
And there you
and
are.
all those people are like that. All those people that get that big that I've met, that thing is in common. They had a focus, they had one goal, and they had focus, and they just never took their eye off the ball. And you see, she was really good. She punched my arm, and I left a bruise at one point because we were joking around about something. She just hit me, and I was like, wow, Madonna's very strong.
She's strong, or you're weak.
Yeah,
We're about the same size. Right? You're about
Unfortunately, you don't get as excited after a while than in the beginning. You know, like when I first got to have a song with Britney Spears, that was like a thing.
Yeah.
But after a while, you get jaded. You realize everyone's human, one, and then you realize that you're also there providing
Is that
service.
good or bad when you realize they're human?
It's good. Sometimes you feel bad for people. I think that there's certain like iconic celebrities that you look at their lives and you get to know how they got what they wanted, I guess, in a sense, but you realize that it's maybe not where happiness lies.
So the old story. I mean, you've seen it up close and personal.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen it very up close and personal with a number of people, and you realize, wow, it's once they go there and once you're that person, things can never be the same. I mean, you can never just go on a flight. You can never, and you can never stop, because there's certain people that are become close to iconic level. You know, people could be like, you know, just to give her an example, like a Britney Spears, and like after all that happened, like why couldn't she just stop? Why can't her people just tell her to stop? Well, she can't stop because she's Britney Spears. She can never not be Britney Spears. And to be Britney Spears, to be safe, for her kids to be safe, to live, especially safety, I know, especially with the girls, is a big thing. You know, the amount of death threats, the amount of people stalking them. They have to have security 24 hours a day just to protect them and their family. To pay for that security is very expensive. To make that kind of money, you have to continue being Britney Spears. Wow, you know, it's like those kind of things. That's just an example of like.
I hadn't.
And I never thought of it like that. But like, oh yeah, you can't just go about like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna move to Idaho. And it's like, well, once you've gone to that point where you are now that person, there's just no way you can do that. Even if no matter how bad you want it, you really couldn't, because there are people.
Has anyone
that
tried?
Have to. I don't know. Not that I know. I'm sure people have. But I remember, like, I won't give specific names, but there's like an artist that I worked with who, in the middle of working with her, or after we worked with her, she exploded, and it was this big deal. And all of a sudden she said, like, when we work on the next album, she was like, wow, I have to have a bodyguard with me 24/7 now, because I got really famous. I didn't expect it, got really famous, and now I have security everywhere I go, because there's so many people.
Wackos out there.
Wackos out there, you know? Wow. And you realize that, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a human there.
Yeah.
And you never really think about that, right? You know,
when you think about just the macro picture, it's just like, no one is ever incentivized to stop something that's successful. I mean, think about just the economy building, or like, you know, I worked in corporate America. Nobody ever got promoted for killing a project. It was always like, how do you bring this thing back and make it bigger and stronger and faster, and how do you sell more of these? And we live in a capitalistic society, so specifically here, I mean, we could say, well, why doesn't Britney just stop being Britney, or Madonna stop being Madonna? Well, then why don't you stop chasing what you're chasing? We're all trying to get to the next level too. It's just so, I mean, it's rare for people to just leave, and some people go and they become a monk, or they do really stop. But we have that luxury of doing that where we don't have to worry about, you know.
And I think it's easier maybe for the males in the industry. I think it's tougher probably for girls and women who, because there are just so many wackos out there that go after these women. I'm sure that the men have the same, but well, I don't think it's at the same extent. You know,
I don't know.
It's not like violent. Yeah, like it's not that all these. I'm not like trying to leak some, but you just hear that these, you know, they have to have security for a reason. You know. Yeah. So then you sympathize with that. You're like, oh.
What's an album that you just can never get sick of hearing?
Thriller.
Wow. Yeah. 82, I think it was. The #1 selling album of all time. Definitely one of mine. Best concert you've ever been to? And it could be one or two. It doesn't have to be just one.
Michael Jackson Bad tour at Wembley Stadium in London.
Is that 88?
87, 88, yeah.
Yeah. When you were there?
Yeah, I was there. I think it was my first concert.
That's pretty difficult to top.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's pretty. What other genres of music? Is there a genre of music that you just hate, that you just can't listen to? You're like, the Uber driver has it on. You're like, could you please change that?
I'm not into like metal, like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
Although looking at you, I could kind of see a little bit of a metal vibe. Like if I didn't know what kind of music you wrote,
I could the beard now.
Yeah, it's probably the beard.
I'm just challenging TSA.
Yeah, that's really what it is. What would you say was the best decade for American music?
I love the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about the 90s? Do you think it's better than today? I mean, you write some of today's best music, so I'm not saying it like that, but
I'm more influenced by like 90s R&B and stuff like that, especially lately.
Like Usher and
and all like Boys to Men, Jodeci, all that.
Yeah,
that Babyface era. It's late 90s, maybe late 90s.
No, I mean, it's kind of like throughout the 90s. Yeah. Boys to Men were definitely 92, 93. Okay, that was like, that's your jam, like when you want to rock out. That's what you put
absolutely.
On. Okay. But what is it that we lost since then, you think? I mean, is it the soul? Is it the feeling? Did things become computerized or did they become digitized? Or
I think we lost, at least this very moment in time, I think we lost a lot of fun in music. Like and I think that's streaming to blame because it's about like repeat listens and mellow, like in the background, you know. But like hip hop especially lost its fun.
Huh.
You know, like there's no like fun, like crowd music, like hip hop hooray, ho, or like those bad boy puffy days, you know. I miss that. I miss like tempo and just fun.
Okay.
Everything takes itself so seriously right now.
And now trap is kind of an illustration of that because it's
just so mellow. It's like coding hip hop. That's what I call it.
That's what that is. Yeah. Well, that's probably literally what it is.
Yeah, it is.
You're like, I can't feel my face. I know all about it. What comes first to you? Is it melody or lyrics? So you would say you do lead with melody and then you
lead with melody, but I always try and have a title. Mm-hmm. You know, so at least I know where I'm going.
Oh, interesting. The title of the song.
Yeah, my phone has just tons of titles. Like most of my big hits that I've been a part of started with a title.
Wow. So it's like is that the working title or the final title? Like, is it scaffolding or
I
it's
hope
the final
that
building?
I hope it's the final title. It's a pain in the ass when you do a melody around it and then all of a sudden like, no, we should change the title. Right. But usually it's the final title, more than not. Yeah.
That's interesting because you say melody is more important than lyrics, yet the North Star, the guiding principle, is
at least for me, because I feel like if you just have like da 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 da, and you're trying to fill in words, you'll do very cliche words. Sure. Where if you just have like a concept, and I'll build the melody first, sort of, but knowing that I'm getting to that title.
Got it.
Or I'm going to start with that title and build a melody around.
So the title's sort of the destination that you're putting into the Google Maps, but the route is the melody.
Exactly.
What do you think is the ultimate pop song, like in the last few years? I mean, I remember they asked Chris Rock, like, what was the best comedy post-2000? I think he said it was Superbad. He's like, Superbad is, you know, the standard of comedies, and other people think it's The Hangover, things like that. But then we can point to comedy sets and things like that. But musically, where do you go, man, that is just like, I know what I think it is, but I'd love to know what you, at least like maybe post-2000.
Post-2000, oh, that's tough. The last few years, I'd say like a Hotline Bling, or, but I'm sure someone could bring up another song. I'm like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean that song was everywhere. Well, I think it's Umbrella.
Oh yeah, Umbrella. See, then you go. Umbrella's great.
I think that's tough to do.
Yeah, I'd go with them. Single Ladies was amazing.
Phenomenal too.
Yeah,
it's like there may be something as good. There's nothing any better. And there's a quote that goes, "The best paintings have already been painted."
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's true for music, or do you think the best is yet to come?
Ooh.
You can say the last one just because it's the last question. You don't have to say the best is yet to come.
No, I think there's never going to be another first of things, you know. And in music, especially in pop music, there have been firsts, you know, like in the 50s, the 40s, 50s, when they started creating pop structure, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. I mean, you're not going to beat those things.
Right. Like those standards.
Those standards, yeah. It's just innovation, and I don't know what that's going to be, but I think as far as where we are today in pop song structure, yes, the best has been done. Yeah.
I remember Elton John talking about, they were recapping, I think it was the 60s, 70s and on, and he was talking about Respect, which of course was written by Otis Redding, but then became famous through Aretha Franklin. And there's a part where he just goes, I wish I would have written that song. And when I watched it, it was before I really got into stand-up comedy. I was like, oh, what a cocky thing to say. I mean, I love Elton John. He's written so many great songs, he and Bernie Taupin. But it's like, but then I've watched other comics where I'm like, I should have written that bit. I should have written that bit. I could have written it if I would have just worked harder. And now I get what he was saying. Are there songs like that where you go, whether historical or current, where you're like, I should have written that. I could have had that.
Maybe not. I could have had that, but I wish I wrote it. I mean, that's pretty much everything that's not mine that works.
I guess that makes sense. You're like any hit ever, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, but again, like I love that. I wish I was, I'll say an era, I wish I was around that sort of 90s, late 90s, early 2000s R&B era, or like I wish I would have caught the Backstreet NSYNC era. Because I wasn't there yet where I could have participated, you know?
How old are you? Do you mind saying?
I'm 39.
Okay.
So I kind of didn't break in time to be a part of the Backstreet Boys.
Professionally, right? So listening-wise, consumer-wise.
But, and obviously I was in high school during the 90s, but I would have loved to have been a part of that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I would love to go back in time, be the writer I am now, and be there.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, okay, so
And
like if
sort
you could
of learn.
transplant. Can you rock out to your own songs?
No.
You can't?
No.
So you can't just put on like Can't Feel My Face and just have a good time?
No.
I can totally.
It's work to me.
It's work, yeah. So you can't like...
I can't rock out to and it's so sad to say, but even music in general, I'm thinking about. Like I can't listen to the radio.
You can't turn it off.
Yeah, you can't turn it off.
Interesting.
I can listen to older songs and enjoy, but I can't listen to the radio and enjoy because there's a little competitive thing in me, and then it's like I know the people who, you know, and then this whole like, you know, oh, that's interesting, I did that, you know, that whole thing.
That's so
Not that I would do anything better, but I'm like, I'm looking for
breaking
like,
it down and
yeah.
Well, and like just you personally, what would it mean to pull you, like pulling a 7? It's like, man, he just pulled a 7. What would that be? It doesn't have to be professionally, like just behind the scenes.
That would just be overthinking something to the point of it's just you kill it. That's very me.
I could say like if you can't.
I'm also very over the top. Like in my personal life, I don't do anything like half-assed. Like for especially like when it was like Halloween, I hired like a set decorator to make our. You know, I'm like I do everything. Or like if there's 10 people coming, I'll buy 20 things just in case 10 more people come. Like that person, I overdo everything.
Yeah.
That's totally, it annoys the hell out of my wife.
Yeah.
Everything is overdone.
You just have to go over the top on everything. I love that. If you were convicted of a white-collar crime, what would you like it to be?
A white-collar crime? That's like office stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, it's staplers.
What is your greatest accomplishment? What do you consider your, you know, if you hung it up right now, and God forbid, I know you have a long way to go, but where do you look back and go, yeah, that's sort of the first line of my bio or my Wikipedia or my tombstone. I guess we're Hindu, a tombstone, but on your urn.
Yeah, I was gonna say something super cliche, but I think my wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that like that I met her and was able to stay sane and keep her with me on this journey from when I was like broke and eating beans out of a can till now, and the luck that I've had, and I'm really proud that like one of my biggest songs and what broke probably the biggest pop group I think statistically ever was a song written for her, which is What Makes You Beautiful for One Direction.
Wow.
So that I'm always kind of gonna be proud of.
Ladies, look what you're missing here. You just melted everybody's heart. This is the ideal man. I mean, you love chick flicks. You dedicate songs to your wife.
But
you don't go out and
I'm
party.
really bad at sex.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've made it? I mean, would you say, you know, I ask people that, and well, what do you say?
I would say anyone that can earn a living, I'd go back to that. Anyone that can earn a living doing what they're passionate about has made it. I don't want to take anything for granted and say, no, I haven't achieved. I mean, I've been lucky and I'm aware of what I've been able to achieve. I'm not satisfied yet. No, that's like, especially with songwriting, and maybe it's the same thing in comedy, like your joke lasts for a minute, right? Your song lasts, your hit song lasts for a month. Once that's gone, you don't have it anymore.
Right, it's gone, yeah.
And so there's nothing there to grasp. Like, you know, I think a film can be a classic film and last forever, and generations can listen to it.
But you don't think a song can?
I think it can, but I think like, I guess in the moment you don't feel it. Like for
Sure.
me, when you've written it, like especially nowadays, pop songs they die pretty quick, right? They fall off a cliff. There's a few.
like,
I think there's a few in my career that will last, and I do hear out and about, and you know, but like
you hear it on, you're at CVS and you hear it or whatever.
I think What Makes You Beautiful. I think I Have a Feeling, Can't Feel My Face. I think Love Me Like You Do will last.
Yeah.
And you know, on some of my Maroon 5 song that I co-wrote, One More Night, I hear once in a while. You know, but I think that. I don't think you can ever be satisfied.
When did your parents accord you that respect? Was it 100 million? Was it 200 million records?
No, you know what?
Where was they? Because Indians, like, even if you don't become a doctor, then it's like if you're gonna go into comedy, if you're gonna go into music, then you better do something big.
I don't think they fully got it until it was the least significant thing I did, which was, you know, when Simon Cowell asked me to be on X Factor in the UK, and that year was when One Direction was on, and all our relatives live in the UK. So it was that thing of I was on TV every once in a while on the biggest show in England, and that's what they thought my success was.
Right.
So my cousins and all that, they think that's what it is. That's oh my God, yeah, Solomon's on X Factor. And then they call my mom, and my mom was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. It was like, you know, that's like a side that has nothing to do with
right.
what
Ironically called the X Factor. Yeah, it really is.
If I think about everything, I mean, I think it's just an achievement for anyone to make a living doing what they're passionate about. And I mean, I had, and you know, we spoke about this when we spoke before about coming from an Indian family, very traditional Indian family, how horrific it was to them for me to do this, to sort of survive that, to be still standing and to have achieved a few things, like that kind of stuff. I'm proud of. I'm proud to be the probably only Indian and I guess in Western music that's been able to do it at this level. Hopefully others will follow. But yeah, I think, you know, I look at, you know, so many friends when they write songs for someone, like it doesn't always work out the way like What Makes You Beautiful and launching a band like that, you know.
It doesn't always work out to that level.
So that's always just fun, and it's kind of fun that my wife's a part of that with me.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
like
beautiful.
she has her little pop, you know, a little moment in pop history.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time and your honesty and your openness. And not every guest is as conversant as you are. So you can speak not just in lyrics but in real life, which is great. So that's awesome. And appreciate your hospitality today. And on behalf of the entire crew, and
thank you guys.
Coming to you, thank you very much. Coming to you here in West Hollywood, California. Thank you for joining us on this episode of What Do You Bring to the Table? We knocked over the game very, very quickly today, but that's good. We're collaborative here, right? So it can't be beat. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of What Do You Bring to the Table? I've been your host, Rajiv, and I still am.
Next week on What Do You Bring to the Table?
The cost of pursuit is so high that you have to have, even if you're wrong about it, you have to have that kind of myopic intention.
Like I could be, like I'm gonna work towards this.
Yeah, because honestly, it's not a pursuit I don't think that's worth doing if you don't think that you're gonna be one of the greatest, because even to be one of the greatest means you might just have a good career. It's a game of poker you're playing where the majority of the outcome of a hand has to do with what you're dealt and not the way you played it.